In today's video, it's time for some Sega power. But in this video I also wanted to do a little bit of a chit chat about something that is quite interesting when it comes to Everdrives. I've been reviewing all kinds of cheap stuff, so in this video we are going to be doing a chit chat about something that is not for everyone. This is the Mega Everdrive Pro Edition from Grids, the original creator of the Everdrives. And this is one of the things I always wanted to have this, with a simple reason because everything is just quality. The overall, let's say, collectible value of the box, all the way up to, let's say, the function of this device, because this can do some really cool things. But throughout the years I've been collecting all kinds of flashcards, from the original Everdrive but also the ones from AliExpress. The first one I actually picked up is this very strange version that is original Grids, the first edition, or at least like just a simple Mega Everdrive with quite a long loading times. So don't mind this case, because I don't know what the previous owner actually did with this. I can still remember that when you're going to be ordering these things, you can just order yourself the PCB and 3D print your own case. And I'm guessing this is actually what the previous owner did. However, now we do have like $15 flashcards. Yeah, absolutely nuts. So this is called the Flashmaster, but you also have all kinds of different editions. And most of them are like really cheap, under $20. And what you're actually getting, it's the same kind of result like the first generation of Grids, with very long loading times sometimes when it comes for loading in games. And some limitation when it comes to cheat codes and everything else. However, this is an absolutely like awesome deal, because if you think about like paying $50, $20, depending where you're living, when you're buying it, because of kinds of different sales. However, when it comes to these cheap things, there is not a great support, and the SD cards, if they're going to be giving you one, it's going to be a non-branded and they get corrupted automatically after a couple of times of using. However, this is the price you're going to be paying for when getting something like this. However, I was kind of done with these slow loading things. I just want to get something that is just some next level. So I burned a lot of money, and actually I bought it from a fellow collector. And the reason why, because I just wanted to have this in my Sega Tower of Power. Because this is a device that can actually do anything. Particularly when you're going to be reading into the key features. This has some really cool features I am just really excited about to show you. So when it comes to the support of games, this actually supports everything. If you want to play Genesis games, Mega CD, Sega Master System or 32X, and for 32X you do need an adapter, you can actually play all of these games, and that is absolutely awesome. Besides that, we also have the option to actually make a quick load, quick save. An USB port for development, and it also implements a Game Genie. So this thing can do everything what you want to do when it comes for playing. And then of course the case itself. You can buy it complete with everything in here, and what you're getting is a very nice high quality case. I don't know if you have a difference, let's say, when it comes to the cartridge, but also the shell. I really love this translucent red color, and we're having everything we're going to be needing. The tiny button over there, the micro USB. It's kind of interesting that you're still using micro USB, by the way. And of course the SD card is not included, you need to get yourself like one. So I'm using a 64 gigabyte, and if you're going to be using the Sega CD part, you're going to be needing a big one, because those files are quite big. And of course the PCB itself is made in Ukraine and not in China, or some of that kind of things. So when you're going to be looking into the manual, and that's one of the experiences I love about the Mega Everdrive Pro. A lot of effort went into this, so if you want to set it up, and you have no idea what you're going to be needed to do, besides of course you need to buy an SD card. So in here everything is going to be explained. Initial setup, how to set up the file manager, and it just very clearly explains how everything works. You can actually do all kinds of cool stuff. You can even have the hex view, and you name it. And of course you need to set up the quick load, quick save if that doesn't implement automatically. And here you can just see everything what you're going to be needing to know to set it up and to have like the best overall experience. So for the files you need to go to the Grids website, and I think when it comes to these kind of products you do pay a very hefty price tag, but what you're getting is a lot of cool features, and the support when it comes to firmware updates is absolutely amazing. So it's the time to get rid of this $15 or $20 flash card and then use this freaking Mega Everdrive Pro, because this is going to bring my custom device or your original Sega to the next level. And also when it comes to the Sega CD, because this thing doesn't have a CD player add-on, so we can actually play the Sega CD games. And that also is actually going to be happening when it comes to the Sega Master System. We don't need a converter. But with the 32X, yeah, I would not really recommend using that on this device. It's not going to be super convenient, but it is technically actually working when it comes to that too. So yeah, I'm going to be doing something I will not recommend doing. We're going to be using the Sega 32X, and we're also going to be playing, and we're going to be testing everything, all the features when it comes to quick load, quick save, and all kinds of different games that we can play. And actually when it comes to, let's say, the Everdrive, but also when it comes to the RGB cable I'm going to be using, I'm going to be switching to the RGB cable from UK, from the retro gaming cables. So it's actually the same story like the Everdrive. So if you're having this costs not a lot of money and it's an okay overall experience. But if you want to bring it and elevate it to the next level, yeah, besides having a very good Everdrive, a good cable is also very necessary, having the best signal output when it comes to your Sega console. But maybe it's fun to check out when it comes to the cable and also do a side-by-side comparison when it comes to the overall quality. But let's do a quick chit chat about the menu, what you can do and how does it actually work. But if you're going to be setting everything up like it should be, like the manual says, this is what you're going to be getting. So what you see are the folders I've made myself. So you have, for example, having 32X, we having European files, then we set to alphabetic order. You can actually make all kinds of folders inside the folders. Favorite, Genesis, I have made hex, having the Japanese region, my system games, new games, and of course the Sega CD games. So with Sega CD games, what you need to take consideration, if you're going to be loading into this, it's going to be quite a little of a hassle. For example, having Cadillac and Dinosaurs, I realize this is an ISO and this is not going to be working. If you're going to be getting into a game, so let's say BC Racers, you're going to be starting it up and now it will actually ask you if you want to start it up by pressing A. But let's go back. So there are a lot of cool things you can do with it. For example, if you want to get into menu over here, pressing C, we're having options, recently played, cheats, system folder, device information, diagnostics, and about. But let's get into the diagnostics. If you have any problems, you have some weird things going on, you can just check your system if anything is going to be wrong with it. And it's one of the very cool ways. You can just check it fairly easy. And if you're going to be waiting a little bit longer, it also checks out how fast is your SD card. I'm just using a Philips, I think it's a 64 gigabyte, I already mentioned that. But this is actually the speeds. And of course, I don't know how far you can push it and what kind of benefit you will have if you're going to be having like a SanDisk Ultra or something else. So one of the cool features about this is the options. So this is a very extended product. So in here we're having the in-game menu, you can shut it on and off. Mega key, cheats, we're having the SMS BIOS, you can turn it on and off. Last game auto boot, you can turn it on and off. Teams, that's actually the picture you're seeing over there. File sorting and the warning, Mega CD options, in-game combo. So in-game combo, here you can just say like what kind of combinations you want to have, like a quick load, quick save, and that works quite good. And that's all kind of cool stuff, and the RTC setup. So in here we can find all kinds of stuff and we can have a lot of options that we don't have with those cheap things. It's kind of cool, they also have a recently playlist, system folder, when we can get into the system folder over here. That is something you don't really want to mess with and that's not going to be needing. And of course the about, that actually showcases made in Ukraine and everything about the Mega Everdrive Pro. Loading up the game is quite similar to, let's say, the other stuff that we have seen before. Going to favorites. So if you're going to be loading up something already that's in the system, you can press start, it will automatically boot up. But let's say I want to play Street of Rage Syndicate Wars, one of my favorite hacks of Street of Rage. So we have cheats, game data, ROM info, configure, hex view, and we can just actually delete it if you want to do that. So pressing start, and what I love about these things, they automatically instantly load up. Doesn't even matter how big the file is. So that's actually how it is when playing this. This is, by the way, one of my favorite ones because you can actually play with all kinds of characters. This is so freaking cool. Most of the time I just love to play with Shiva, but you can get yourself like an other character you want to, like the final boss of the wrestling guy I really hate, but it's a lot of fun to play actually with him. I think that's one of the cool things of the Everdrive, but again, you can just do this with cheaper cards if you want to. It's all depending what you want to do with this particular, let's say, game or games, and of course what you want to do with Everdrive. But let's try the quick load, quick save. So let's hold start and press down. And it goes a little bit messed up. By the way, in fly on my screen, by the way, but doesn't matter. Let's continue. But this is a save file of Shiva when I was playing with it. So that's kind of cool. You can actually see that we made a load and it seems to be working. Let's go back to the menu, or actually the first start. It sounds a little bit messed up in the beginning, but beside that, it works like a charm. So the next thing I wanted to do is go into the master system. So let's load up the folder. So let's just randomly pick a game. So Ace of the Ace Europe, nah. Let's go with the Alex kit. Miracle Wonder having different regions. And we're just pressing start and it will automatically boot up. It will take a little bit of time, a couple of seconds. And in this way we can just fairly easy boot up into the master system. And I think that's kind of cool, where the converters are not like super expensive now. You can just pick them up from AliExpress. So, but still, this isn't very cool extra, let's say, novelty you can just do with this out of the box. So besides the Mega CD that we can actually play a Sega Master System without any problem. But everything has been configured like the manual says. You go to the Sega CD folder, or the folder you want to call. So what you can do is just boot up into the game like normal. Like I said, with the same menu. Here we can implement cheats. We can look into the same kind of information like with the normal ROM files. We can even open the folder where you can see all of the files and just double press A, boot up the game, and it will automatically load up. But this time we're first going to be going into the BIOS. Here you can see Mega CD. And then it's going to be booting up into the game itself. And this way you can play on a custom game system your Sega CD games, where I still really love to have the original system with the disc for the pure nostalgia. This is another way and cool way to play. The loading times are here, but they are like really fast. And again, for me, like playing through, let's say, the Mega Everdrive Pro is such a cool, fun experience. However, yeah, still for me, the full nostalgia will be having the full tower of power and just using a physical CD when it comes to that. However, this is just a super easy way to play my game through, let's say, a different clone system that doesn't have the option to play the Sega CD or Mega CD games. Recently played, I can remember that I played Mortal Kombat. I think this was also the Sega CD version, if I'm saying it correctly. Let's see if it also remembers everything. Here you can actually see that it loaded up, but Final Fight is over here, Syndicate Wars. And let's boot up into this particular game. We do have this weird flickering with every single time I'm getting into the BIOS. If this has to do maybe with the console, that is possible. That will be fun to check out later on in another video. There is one thing I do wonder, is like I have this basic SD card. Let's say if you're getting an SD, like an ultra fast one, will this also have a significant upgrade in the loading time? So as you can see over here, this works all fine, no problem whatsoever. But when you're getting into the game, I mean in particular not this part, but let's boot up into the game, you will see that loading, prepare to fight. This is, I don't know exactly how long it will take with the original game. It still takes up a little bit of time. Another thing I also noticed getting in stage 2, I had this issue with the audio, no audio above the background itself. Maybe a problem with the image itself. Something I would not recommend doing, but what's kind of interesting, in the main review I also was messing around with it, having a lot of interference, but it seems to be fixed with the good cable of retro gaming cables. So there's a great, let's say, in showcase that you need to buy good cables for getting the best signal output and no distortion whatsoever. But let's get into the Sega 32X and let's boot up a game. It is a European version, so I need to get yourself European files. Let's start. So with the basic flashcards, you need to wait so freaking long for these massive files to load up. But I'm guessing I completely messed it up because this is not set to the right region. Okay, so let's turn it off. Let's get into the PAL. Let's boot it up again. I think everything should be right, it should be now. I'm pressing start, will load up into the game I last played. And I still need to figure out how this freaking thing works. Hello, why are you not booting up? Come on, you can do it. Find the right region. Come on. And still nothing. Oh my god. Yes, it seems to be working. You don't have this issue if you're going to be having a US over Japan version, because that is, far I understand, you can actually use all kinds of 60 hertz games. So yeah, this is just an example that you can just play these games. So let's boot it up. Now we're going to be having a little bit of squeezed screen with the simple reason because we're using the PAL. But that is just a very cool thing. You can just play everything with the Mega Everdrive Pro. And I think the cool add-on is the Sega CD. Is he going to be shooting ice? No, he's sliding. I knew it. But if I want to go to the quick load, quick save option, when it comes to that, it seems to not be working with the 32X. That's a little bit of a downside, but yeah, that's something we need to live with. Trying to figure out which button I need to press. Oh man, this game is so cool. Such a fun game. The Mega Everdrive Pro came with a very hefty price tag, but I'm still very happy that I purchased this, because this thing gives me so many new options when it comes for playing games, super fast loading times, and this is such a fun way to play. Of course, if you're having an old Everdrive and you really don't mind that you need to wait a little bit for a couple of games you want to play, this is just fine. And of course, if you don't care about all the extra fancy options like quick load, quick save, or having the Mega CD option and stuff like that. There are so many options out there, even another version called the Mega X7 Everdrive Ultra version that we're going to be chit-chatting later on here on the channel. So consider subscribing, hit the little bell, because this is going to be an interesting one, having save state, current state of the game, and also instant loading. But when this thing comes around, let's say half the price, it's still no match for the Mega Everdrive Pro, or maybe it is. That is something we're going to be finding out later on. Thank you all for watching, consider subscribing, and it will be great to see you in the next video.